Now, it was no surprise to many that Oppenheimer was a big winner at the Golden Globes Awards last night, taking home 5 awards, including the top prize.
But some eyebrows were raised by the comedian and host Joe Coy, one of the worst hosts I've ever seen or heard, by the way, who took a silly swipe at the roars. Let's have a listen.
But you got more? You're clapping like 9, really? Just a great series about a rich, white, dysfunctional family, all scheming. Oh, no, that's The Crown. That's The Crown. I'm sorry. How great was Imelda Staunton in The Crown?
Ooh, well, let's speak now to showbiz reporter Stephanie Tetschi. Andrew isn't impressed. Stephanie, before we get into the awards, because there is lots of good news from last night, let's talk about the controversial host, shall we say, Joe Coy, some calling him the worst host ever.
And I agree, Ellie. I think sometimes, when you get these hosts for these big award shows, I understand they're under so much pressure to impress a worldwide audience. But sometimes they push that controversial too far in terms of taking swipes at people. And people just found him very distasteful. He made fun of the royals last night. He made fun of Taylor Swift. And, the judge, he's been really hung out to dry. And I don't think he will be ever presenting the Golden Globes again. I think, usually most people say he's quite funny. His material is quite funny. And that's the whole reason why he was picked in the first place. But last night, I don't know if it was the pressure. I don't know if it was the nervousness. But, this is the first Golden Globes that they've had on TV in the first 2 years. And to be honest, he's just taken all the headlines, but for the wrong reasons.
He just wasn't very funny, Stephanie.
No, it was just, I know our British humour is quite different, but from the time the Americans didn't find it too funny, that says something. I think he was just trying too hard, and I just think he's left a bitter taste for the Golden Globes. All eyes were on the Golden Globes, Andrew. They've had a lot of controversy over the past few years, and this was their year to really make a comeback. And unfortunately, they just picked the wrong host for it. They should have stuck to someone like Ricky Gervais, who would have got the job done.
Yeah, I think a lot of people wanted to see Ricky Gervais last night. It's not the first time I've heard that. So perhaps not a good night for Joe Coy, but it was a great night for Oppenheimer.
Yes, it was. 5 awards, including Best Director and Best Actor for Cillian Murphy. I'm not surprised, Ellie, because during the summer, it was between Oppenheimer and Barbie, the 2 massive box office bestsellers, that people really came to watch. So, when it comes to award seasons, they tend not to give comedies. Barbie was up for 8 awards, but it was Oppenheimer that people picked. It was a 3-hour stellar look at the making of the atomic bomb. It made over £1 billion in the cinema. So, this is just a sign to come of what we're going to see at the Oscars and at the BAFTA Awards.
It was a bit... Look, a great film, Steffi. The one thing that worries me about these films, they go on so blimmin' long now. It was 3 hours, for God's sake. We didn't need 3 hours.
I found it so boring, if I'm honest, but you know what? I cannot knock Christopher Nolan. When it comes to cinematography and when it comes to directing, he is almost the best at what he does in Hollywood. So in that sense, he will receive all the accolades in Hollywood this award season. But I think, of course, most people were surprised that Barbie didn't pick up more awards. But it did pick up Best Cinema and Box Office Achievement. It was the highest grossed film of 2023. So who knows, maybe in the Oscars and the BAFTAs, it might be Barbie's moment.
Why don't you think Barbie did any better last night? Andrew thinks it's too woke.
I think it's a bit of that, Andrew, but also when it comes to award seasons, when it comes to action films, when it comes to comedy films, for some reason it doesn't really connect with the members, even though they do well in the cinemas and it gets the bums on seats. When it comes to award season, they always tend to go for the more hard-hitting stuff. They want to go for the stuff that, in a way, I hate saying this, but it's a bit more credible. There's a bit more story to the plots. And so I think that's why Barbie won't maybe have a good season this award season.
OK, Stephanie Tetschi, always really good to see you. And matching us in blue, thank you very much indeed.